I mean, the fact that Russia limited their response to what they did, again, is proof positive that Russia's not looking to escalate. But how much longer we can count on Russian, responsible Russian behavior is not known. People are losing their patience in Russia.
If you find yourself alone, riding in green fields with the sun on your face, do not be troubled, for you are in Elysium, and you're already dead!
The idea that Skyfall is a weapon that's about to make its debut on the battlefields of Ukraine is a joke. It's not a weapon, it's an idea that's been totally underfinanced. 9 million pounds. Do you know what the payroll of a missile production line is? It's more than 9 million pounds. So they haven't even hired the people yet. They got a bunch of scientists somewhere, with chalk, drawing pictures on a board, taking snapshots of it with their iPhone and sending it to the defense minister saying, we have a plan. That's all they have. So I don't think anybody's losing sleep over this. It's just another, stupid idea from a nation of stupid people. We're in the theater of the absurd right now. This is pure theater. The British have a plan, a master plan they've been seeking to implement in Ukraine called Keep Ukraine in the Fight. A key aspect of that is the psychological preparation of Ukraine for sustaining a conflict that by any measure it's being decisively defeated in. At this juncture, any rational leadership, having assessed the totality of the picture, understanding that there was no pathway to victory, would be looking for a pathway to avoid an even more decisive defeat. But that's not what's happening in Ukraine. The Ukrainian government, in a way that just defies comprehension, continues to double down on stupid and undermine whatever, strategic resources it had and plans, throwing away reserves and fruitless attacks for propaganda purposes, because this is all propaganda purposes. Everything that's done in Ukraine today is for propaganda purposes. They launched drone attacks against Lukoil drilling rigs in the Caspian Sea. They didn't destroy the rigs, but they got their video that they were able to put out there, and they have Zelensky meeting with the new head of the Ukrainian intelligence services, talking about how we have struck deep into Russia. And do they not understand that the retaliation that Russia will inflict on them is going to be extreme? Good chunks of Kiev don't have power, don't have water, are not going to get power and water restored. Much of Ukraine is in a similar fashion. The Russians just unleashed a second Oreshnik on the Ukrainians, which, given the silence of Ukraine about what happened, implies that the Russians sort of hit what they were planning on hitting and getting done what they planned on getting done. And so the British right now have to do, these staged actions. They meet in Paris, the coalition of the willing. They may be willing, but they're unable. I don't want to get too crude here, but you put a 110-year-old man in bed with a 22-year-old starlet. He may be willing, but he's not going to be able. And this is Europe. This is the UK today. They can't perform. They're literally pathetic. 76,000 is the total size of the British military, and that now you parse that down into how many of those are actually combatant troops. And when the British are talking about deploying 7,600 troops, they can't. They don't have them. They literally don't have them. The same thing with the rest of Europe. I mean, nobody in Europe can do this. And now we come to the Skyfall. It's a non-existent missile. I'd be surprised if it ever existed past the prototype. Let's just put it this way. If you have a missile that's 800,000 pounds, it's not a very sophisticated missile. And you think that missile is going to actually penetrate Russian air defenses if it is produced? No, all it's going to do is make England a target. And I don't know how many more times you have to listen to Dmitry Medvedev say, guys, it's going to happen. Before it's going to happen, you have members of, the Russian Duma saying we need to strike now with nuclear weapons. I mean, this is where this conversation's gone. The Russians now are taking a look at what the United States is doing with NATO, and they are firmly convinced, at least at certain levels, that they could strike Europe with nuclear weapons and the United States would do nothing. That the United States will not commit suicide on behalf of Europe, especially if Europe is provoking the Russian bear, so to speak. It's a very dangerous way of thinking. I don't agree with it. I actually think we would do something. I think we'd end up with a general nuclear exchange and all life on the planet would end. But Sergei Karaganov, who's a very influential political thinker, has famously or infamously said that the United States will not sacrifice Boston for Poznan, meaning that Russia could throw a nuclear weapon on Poznan and the United States would do nothing. So this is where we're at. Now we have the French pretending that they have a strategic nuclear deterrent capable of holding Russia at bay. You have the British pretending that what's left of their strategic nuclear deterrent is relevant. And you have the Russians making the decision that Oreshnik is staying, not just staying, but will be a part of their strategic nuclear deterrence profile indefinitely, which means intermediate nuclear forces are now here to stay in Europe. Thank you, Donald Trump, and thank you, Europe, for destabilizing your continent. We are about to enter an arms race where Russia holds all of the advantages already. They have deployed intermediate forces that are unmatched. They have the best strategic nuclear forces in the world, most modern. The United States is confronted by the reality that our bombers don't work, our missiles are old, and our submarines are aging out quickly, and it's going to cost us trillions of dollars to fix this problem. Money we don't have. At the same time, the president's diverting precious resources to building a missile defense system, which will never work, ever. None of the technology in Golden Dome is proven, and we can't afford it, and it won't work. But from the Russian perspective, the American actions combined with the fact that the president of the United States attempted to assassinate the president of Russia, it means that the Russians will never do anything to give away the advantages they have. This advantage that they have is what ensures that they will never be defeated. Nobody can defeat Russia because Russia has this unmatched nuclear capability. The Russians will never negotiate that away, ever. They have overmatch in every aspect except perhaps submarine-launched ballistic missiles, but with the Poseidon now, I would say that Russia's submarine-delivered nuclear arsenal is better than the Trident, meaning it's so, that's where we are. It's over for arms control. It's a very sad reality. I don't know if we're going to survive this. This is a very dangerous time. I'm becoming somewhat despondent. I try to remain optimistic, and I will continue to move forward and see what can be done to educate people. But the United States is ruled by a dictator who doesn't care about international law, doesn't care about constitutional law, doesn't care about anything but his own, ego-driven narcissism. And this is a very dangerous thing. Arms control is about international law, and the United States doesn't believe in international law anymore, which means there can be no arms control. So we're into an arms race that America can't afford, an arms race that underpins the notion of peace through strength. But when the reality of your strength is that you have no strength, and yet you want to continue to posture, that creates the potential for bluffing or, biting off more than you can chew. And how long the Russians are willing to play the patient game, I don't know. The good news is that Russia loves itself, and they believe in their civilization, and they believe in the glory of their civilization. And having resurrected themselves, I don't see the Russians turning into a bunch of lemmings overnight, rushing to the nearest cliff to jump off. And so hopefully we can pray for continued patience and pragmatism on the part of the Russian leadership. But they tried to kill their president. My God, could you imagine what the American response would be if Donald Trump was in Camp David and 91 Russian drones launched by Venezuela were launched against Camp David at a time where President Putin was saying, hey, just hold on for another hour. I'll be right back. I'll call you back. Just stay right there at Camp David. I'll call you right back. And then tried to attack him. We'd be blowing everything up in the world. I mean, the fact that Russia limited their response to what they did, again, is proof positive that Russia's not looking to escalate. But how much longer we can count on Russian, responsible Russian behavior is not known. People are losing their patience in Russia.